All right, we're going to get started. Welcome everyone to the GoSiliconValley program demo day, sponsored by Open Austria. This is our first large-scale event in 2 years, and it's great to see all of you in our space. We have a great evening ahead of us. I'm excited to have you all here and meet our fantastic startups and network with the greater Runway community. A special thanks to our mentors, speakers, partners who have made this a very successful program. So this is what we'll, I'll give you a brief runway overview. I'll bring my friend Natasha up from Open Austria. We'll get into the pitches, and then we'll give you guys an opportunity to meet these startups and meet them at the demo booths. So just a few housekeeping. If you need the Wi-Fi, it's that right there. And if just in case we have an emergency, the exits are right there by the elevators, and also through the lobby by the dining room as well.
Christian, can you write the Wi-Fi on that whiteboard? Sorry.
It's okay. And yeah, just please silence your phones for the courtesy of those presenting. Again, at Runway, we work with corporates, organizations, and startups to spur community and innovation. And here, great ecosystems are built on many relationships. It takes a strong network to help startups grow and help corporates create meaningful innovation initiatives. We have cultivated networks with large and small companies and with folks around the corner, around the world. We want to help people and organizations we work with not only realize their goals, but to grow beyond what they thought was possible and expand their own networks. Here at Runway, we have 3 lines of business. Our corporate innovation services team works with organizations to help them realize their innovation goals. We use education, startup engagement, and ecosystem building to create strategic, results-focused projects that bring excellent outcomes to our corporate clients and program contributors. We have our startup ecosystem that provides flexible workspace, events, connections, mentorship, and a great array of perks for seed to Series A high-tech, high-growth potential startups. Our focus is on creating a thriving, supportive community for our members to grow their businesses. We also have our program services segment. Program services works with a variety of organizations and stakeholders to create a wide array of bespoke event experiences. We create and run incubators and accelerators, such as the one we have in partnership with Advantage Austria. We also produce executive education programs and technology deep dives for corporate and organizational clients, and provide event space for hackathons, conferences, panels, and book launches, among others. Our long-term startup survival rate reflects Runway's great success at helping companies grow and thrive. Since our inception in 2013, 76% of companies that have called Runway home are still in business. This is a striking contrast to the 10% 10-year startup survival rate at large. Runway companies have received over $3 billion in funding. We have dozens of exits and 2 successful IPOs. Our companies range across the board, a broad variety of industries and verticals. And so a little bit more about the GoSiliconValley Accelerator. These folks have been here for 6 weeks, and the program was focused on US market entry and fundraising. We have 9 Austrian startups, 25 workshops that we did, mentorship program that we immersed them in, and a Silicon Valley immersion via mentoring, networking. And these are our startups by sector. We have clean tech, cloud, ed tech, fintech, food tech, retail hardware, software app, and women's health. So these startups have been part of the program, and we've been privileged to watch them learn and grow throughout their time. And we're excited to hear their pitches. And with that, I wanted to bring Natasha Shetling to the stage and tell us a little bit more about Open Austria and how they're working with startups and organizations. Natasha.
Hi, good evening. Can you guys hear me if I speak like this?
Yeah, straight.
Oh, sorry.
Daniel.
Okay, so Daniel can hear. Daniel, it's you. Okay, so he gave me a list of things I have to say, so I'll go into it. Welcome, thank you for attending tonight. It's really good to see all of you again here after 6 weeks. It seems like it flew by. It seems like I was standing here yesterday meeting most of you. And this is our 12th year of the GoSiliconValley program. We've graduated over 160 startups from Austria. And we would like to see this continue, of course. We've had a couple of great exits. And I just spoke to one of you guys who said it was a real success, the program, and that there's a lot of follow-up that's coming out of being here, South by Southwest, and all the other places a lot of you have been over the past 6 weeks. But in any case, that's what we would like to hear. We want to create a bridge between Austria and Silicon Valley and create this value for startups over there, access to mentors, world-class mentors. I mean, you guys have worked with some really top of the line, right? Mentors in our network. That's Suzanne, being a highly sought after pitch coach, business coach. I don't know if you guys have worked with Gigi. Anyways, you've met all these great people along the way. Paul is here too. Hi. So we are very proud to be able to offer you access to, a really top of the line, great resource mentors and investors if you need that down the line, and just potential partners for your business. What else did Daniel tell me to say? Let's see. Well, we've been around for 6 years now as Open Austria. And as we continue our journey here in Silicon Valley, we want to see many more of you come through. Please go back home and tell others about the program. Best practices, who else you can recommend to us would be great too. We're opening up probably very soon for our next program. So if you have startups that you know that you would want to see grow big, send them our way. Trying to see what else I can tell you. I think that's it. If you guys have any feedback for us, we'd love to take that in. You can be as honest, as brutal as possible. What were the highs, the lows, the in-betweens? What else would you want to see? What didn't really serve you, etc.? Who else did you want to connect with while you were here? And if there's any other locations that you want to see included in Go Silicon Valley, Go USA, as we're going to call it, going forward program. So thanks for being here. Good luck pitching. I can't wait to see how you guys have grown over the 6 weeks.
Thank you so much, Natasha. And now I'd like to introduce you to Sandra Miller, our CEO here at Runway. Sandy has a fantastic track record as a former managing director of the Angels Forum. She's an innovation and entrepreneurship educator. She led Accenture's Open Innovation Partnerships, co-founded Stanford University's Biodesign program. She is the founding managing director of Singularity University Startup Accelerator, a co-founder of the Kauffman Foundation Labs for Enterprise Creation, and is an active angel investor and startup advisor. Sandy Miller.
Thank you, Manny. So how does everybody feel at being at, when's the last time you were at a demo day, right?
Yeah.
In person. It's pretty amazing to be able to be here in person. Demo days are kind of interesting because they're a moment in time, right? They're just a moment in time for startups. And this is a pretty rapid cycle. So this is just 6 weeks. And one of the things that I can tell you is that all of these companies have been so busy in this very short period of time, both here in Silicon Valley, out meeting with investors and potential customers, validating some of their assumptions for this market about what people want, and care about in terms of their products and services. There's been so much work that they've been doing, and they've been in this hyper iterative mode, right? Almost every hour they're having a conversation. That means they might be changing something in their presentation. So I just wanted people to have some of that context as they hear these presentations today. So audience, you have a job. First of all, pay attention. After each 5-minute presentation, we'll take about 1, maybe 2 questions from the audience. And I just want to ask you to use that time to ask a question, not necessarily to give feedback right in that moment. Save your feedback for the networking and when we'll be back at the demo tables later. I guarantee you these startups want to hear the feedback, so please do share that. And I know that you will enjoy speaking to each of these companies. You probably got to speak to maybe one or two if you were around before we kicked off here, but please make some time to see the other ones because there's some great stuff that they're working on. So one of the other things I want you to understand real quickly is you may see some of these companies give effectively an investor pitch. Some are choosing to maybe give a high level, sort of general overview about their company and what they do and how they do it. And some may choose to give a presentation that would effectively be like a sales presentation to a potential enterprise customer. So you may see one of those types of pitches. Here's how it'll work. Each startup will have 5 minutes to present. We'll be timing them. So an alarm will go off. Katie's going to be doing that. And then I'll ask for questions, if there are any questions from the audience. While we're doing the Q&A, the next speaker can come up. The next startup that's presenting can come up and start to get ready here, okay? So we do have, just like baseball batting order, we have next up, and then we have our on-deck batters, right? So if, after Thomas, the next company will come up and I'll help you with that. But that's the order that we want to see over here in these beautiful faces. All right. Let's see. So with that said, let's go ahead and bring up Isabella Saltzman with Gleap and get started with our first presentation. Isabella's getting set up. Gleap, just a quick overview. Gleap is an all-in-one bug reporting and customer feedback tool for apps and websites. They help software teams spend less time on fixing bugs and building, of course, better software, and also helping to communicate with your users much more frequently and learn about everyday pain points. This is a big problem, particularly for all the software developers here. So I know you'll want to hear from Isabella. Take it away.
Thank you, Sandy. Is this working? Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay.
Well, hello everybody. I'm Isabella, co-founder at Gleap. I'm really excited to kick off the pitches for this demo day. 1,875 days. That's how much time the average software developer spends on debugging. Time developers, project managers, and product owners would really rather spend on building better software. If you've ever worked for a company that builds software or really just used any kind of software, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. And we know because we used to run a software company ourselves. For us, that meant $2,000 wasted per developer every month. What if you could cut that into half? With Gleap, you can. Gleap helps you resolve software bugs twice as fast because, like an airplane, with Gleap you get a black box for all your apps and websites to record every action of every user. Once installed, users can let you know something went wrong with the click of a button or by shaking their phone. Developers then automatically get a report with all the technical and visual data needed to recreate bugs in no time, troubleshoot, and skyrocket productivity. Project managers can even create sticky environments that users love with surveys or feature requests. With this solution, we've really addressed our own pain point. We used to run a software company for the past 8 years, and we spent half of our time on debugging. So we started to look for a solution and couldn't find anything. That is our CEO, Lucas, a pretty superstar developer, if I may say so. He founded the first app and web development agency in Western Austria. He's also a 2-time Apple World Development Conference scholar and a winner of the European Space Agency's hackathon. Nicholas, our CTO, with 12 years of experience as a full-stack developer. Me, with extensive experience as a software team lead, running European enterprise projects for up to $500,000 and app projects with up to 2 million downloads in the stores. And our team of 3 developers. We're also currently looking for a chief marketing officer to complement our team. There are 26.8 million developers worldwide. Out of these 26.8, 9 million are app and web developers in the EU and US market. We intend to address 2% of that market by 2025 with our beachhead strategy focusing on smaller startups or companies before unlocking the enterprise market. Our pricing is based on a freemium model. We offer 4 feature-based tiers ranging from a free plan to a pro plan for $399 a month. Currently, our growth plan is the most popular one. As you can see, we limit our plans according to projects and data retention. So for example, for the growth plan, you could have up to 10 projects and see the feedback issues your users reported for up to 12 months. With this business model, we've adopted a bottom-up go-to-market approach, selling directly to developers. In just 4 months since our launch, we were already able to acquire 329 teams. We're growing at 25% monthly, and that is with hardly any marketing dollars spent. If we continue to grow at that rate, we're projecting a ARR for this year of $360,000. Our churn rate is currently at 1.5%, which makes us feel exceptionally confident in our product. Our customers have so far reported 250,000 feedback items, and we've tracked over 40 million-ish sessions over the last 4 months. Some of the bigger clients we were able to acquire include Squarespace, Papa John's, and Citrus Bits. And we're also a Microsoft for Startups member, giving us access to a lot of potential customers and partners. Our customers love that we're the only tool on the market that really works for both apps and websites. Compared to many of our competitors, we're directly integrated into their system, allowing us to really give them the exact data they need to reproduce bugs in no time, while also complying with the highest data protection standards. We really combined a bug reporting feature with a customer feedback tool and a very light version of a CRM to cover the whole software development lifecycle. Gleap has been in the making since 2019. We launched last November and are projecting in 360,000 ARR for this year. Spending more money on marketing and sales, we're going to focus on product-led marketing, community building, and partnerships. We really see a huge growth opportunity and are projecting 54 million revenue by 2025. We so far raised $350,000 from governmental funds to founding team and angels, and we're now looking to raise 1.5 million in equity to sustain and grow the company over the next 2 years. With the raised money, we're going to hire a marketing and sales team and increase the marketing spend. It is our vision to turn Gleap into the go-to platform for the entire software development pipeline. So join us to learn more about how Gleap will become the must-have for every software team. I'm really happy to take any questions or talk to you later on the booth. Thank you so much.
Anybody ever have any bugs in software? No questions? Okay, yeah, please.
You secured that 1.5 million. What's your go-to-market plan over the next 6 to 12 months?
So we really plan on entering the US market, and we plan to do so with communities, because we really see a huge opportunity because with the developer community. So now we're really selling directly to developers, so really bottom up, so that the developers, because they really see the benefit with our product. That's what we've learned over the last couple of months. And so yeah, selling directly to developers so that they can then bring the benefit into their teams.
Great, thank you very much. All right, so yeah, you can take that now. So our next company, think about a landfill, right? Have that image in your head. This company, Carbon Cleanup, develops a breakthrough technology in carbon fiber recycling that makes 3D printed materials from waste that normally goes in landfills. So I love that in terms of circular economy. So here is Jörg Radonich, how did I do?
Right.
With Carbon Cleanup to tell us how they do that.
Thank you. Okay, you almost stole my first slide here. I'm Jörg Radonich and I founded Carbon Cleanup in 2020 and to solve the issues with carbon fiber recycling, which are pretty tough. So what you see here is a result what we could achieve in a very short time coming from waste that today is on landfilling, usually sitting around there is in 3D printed bug. So the carbon fiber is a strategic material yet. It's growing very fast, by 12% every year. Its major sectors are aerospace, defense, automotive, wind energy, sports, recreation, of course, and marine sector. But there is a dirty secret behind these materials, because you have some really bad properties when these materials are not fully cured. One is that it's hazardous for the environment, so water and fish is damaged. It's mutagenic, carcinogenic, and also corrosive sometimes. Worst effect is that all this material is sitting around in landfills, 99%. So, but there's a very strong market pull at the moment for our technology, because there is a very strong legislation in Austria especially, and also in Europe happening. So we have a legal end for landfilling this year, and this is not negotiable for the industry. Industry also has a 30% scrap rate, which is pretty high and costly, also CO2 penalty-wise. Recycling materials as a whole are very good for the future in terms of, if you compare them to virgin carbon fiber materials, you save a lot of CO2 footprint, like 80%. So what about the carbon fiber recycling market? Yeah, it doesn't really exist. So it's a new market. It's an opportunity, a massive opportunity for first movers, we would say. This year, we would have an estimated market of 3.1 billion already, growing fast until 2030 to $13 billion. Our goal is to achieve a market share of 100,000 tons, which would equal the $3 billion in 2030. We basically have two products. One is a recycling service, so we take away the pain from the customer, so we come there and solve the problem locally. And second is we sell the upcycled materials to the polymer industry. This is the total opportunity here. Yeah, and here you see where I'm really proud of. We could manage to achieve in only 6 months a full end-to-end recycling prototype, a machine park. We built it up in a container because it was easier. And here we see our recycling bot. It's a digital, an IoT waste bin, where we classify the material when the people throw it away, so we know exactly what we have and where we have it. Then this goes outside into our recycling cleanup unit and is processed to new upcycled material. This mobile can be device can be transported anywhere. Yeah, this is showing already our Series 0, our design direction, which we target to finish engineering by end of this year and start first manufacturing with partner companies to have this fancy, nice machine here looking much better than before. The end result is, as said, carbon fiber recycling material. Yeah, so how we work, how is our traction so far? We work in a very scientific approach. It's a complicated topic in the beginning. So we have a lot of universities on board in research projects in all over Europe. Our first demo customers are Head Tennis and FACC, which is a supplier to aerospace industry, a very big one, and also steel industry is interested in using our carbon materials for adding it to the steel. We could also win some prizes and awards, luckily, and raise 1.8 million in public grants so far. Yeah, to achieve all this, there is a team with very senior people from the industry. So me, I'm a material scientist, as CTO, CEO, everything. In a small company, we are only 8 in the team, plus the founders and the advisory board. Next to me, there are guys from digital companies. So why is that? There's 2 brothers, but our approach is that we combine the material science world with the digital world, which is not happening that often today. Also in our advisory board, some people I worked with in the past is very scientific people and also industry leaders. Mr. Lehner is experienced for over 30 years in running very big global company. Yeah, and right now we are offering an investment opportunity here. So we have already 2 investors on board. They total up to $2 million. We have another ticket for 1.2 million if someone is in the room. I'm happy to talk about it. And the money is used for growing the team, first of all, getting into real market development, which we couldn't do so far because there is a market pool, so we don't need that much. But anyway, and tech development for sure is always important for us. So, thank you very much. Join us on our recycling vision.
All right, any questions for your carbon cleanup? So,
Too many questions.
so tell us actually about, we have one? Go ahead, Dan.
Sure, Jörg. I'm just wondering what some of the bigger technical challenges you think are that lie ahead for your recycling program.
Yeah, to make it a robust industrial grade system, we try to work with partners here, so companies who do already manufacture recycling equipment, we partner up with them. But we will see how this works, and engineering is a big chunk also. But all in all, I expect we also have a patent on this machine so far. That means we're gonna form a big technology package, so it's worth to invest in this time and money. So we'll have a very unique solution then.
Thank you. Yes, Karina.
So I wanted to, I think you answered the question, but I want to confirm. So my question was, is this defensible? Because it is pretty cost intensive to build. So is the technology defensible? And you said you have patents, so I want to make sure you have patents on this particular technology. Right?
Exactly, yeah. The patents roll out in major countries: Canada, the US, Japan, Austria, Europe, and Korea so far.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right. Terrific. Next up, we have Martin Gruber with Findustrial. Findustrial connects industrial companies with financiers to fund in big industrial equipment based on IoT data. Martin?
Thank you very much, Sandy. Right. My name is Martin and I'm the CFO and co-founder of Findustrial. We are an industrial fintech platform. Traditional equipment finance is actually ready for disruption. Why? Because there is a long list of pain points for customers in order to actually successfully fund their projects. Let's have a look at one of our use cases with one of our customers, a flight simulator manufacturer in Austria. The product is fairly new in the market, and hence the valuation as a collateral for financing parties is unclear, and they don't know how to value the product. On top of that, the end customer is an aviation training center in the US, a small customer, and they're struggling to get the 10 million as a credit to be able to buy the asset. On top of that, we see a market that is quite volatile due to the fact that the aviation industry was hit by the pandemic quite severe. So what that does is it adds a heavy fixed cost burden on top of that for the end customer. So why is that important, and why is it even more important now? We see that there is a huge and massive relocation investment trend for Western countries, driven by the fact that there is the global energy transformation and the relocation of industries in Europe and the US, and that generates a massive investment volume. And on top of that, it generates a different risk-return trend for investors. Why? Because we see new technologies and new companies in the market, and the traditional equipment finance models will not do the job. So we need an alternative solution. And we developed an IoT-based financing solution for that, such as pay-per-use business models, which enable traditional equipment finance models to be way more flexible and way more user-centric as the old models. And on top of that, we add additional risk capital into the market, as we are giving our customers access to, for example, additional risk capital pools and DeFi pools in the next months to come, which helps our OEM, the flight simulator manufacturer, to successfully fund the project, add flexibility for the end customer, and actually successfully penetrate the product into the market and generate recurring revenue for the customer. What our platform offers is, all in all, 4 different modules. To begin with, we offer a simulation engine to help the OEM and the banks and financing parties to determine the prices properly for the project. On top of that, we are taking care of IoT connectivity with a blockchain-based IoT connectivity engine, which is open and easy to configure for all sorts of different asset types. On top of that, we are then automating the funding and settlement process for our clients. we are the only platform in the market with that sort of IoT connectivity stack, and we are actively combining our IoT connectivity knowledge with an international funding network of existing banks. For example, Siemens Financial Services, who used to be a competitor of us, has now joined forces together with us as they are really seeing the benefits of the Findustrial platform to be able to offer pay-per-use models in the market. The market opportunity that I'm mentioning is huge. Why? Because we have the equipment finance market already big in the last couple of years, but with huge trends driving up the market growth in the next couple of years due to the relocation of industries. We are specifically excluding the automotive market and as well as the Asian market until 2025, and we are running after an obtainable market volume of around $4 billion US until 2025. Our core customer is the equipment manufacturer, and we see a lot of financing partners as our key partners in all of this. What we do is we deploy a recurring revenue model with all of them now to start the journey, and we build transactional fees on a project level up onto that, which means we currently are in the stage of onboarding OEMs and financing partners to the platform, and we will see significant growth with the transactional processes and projects that we will deploy in the market in the next years to come. We have already established multiple lighthouse projects in the market and built up a financing network of international financing partners in the field. On top of that, we have a strong pipeline of OEMs that have already joined the platform. We are a team of international managers and entrepreneurs who have successfully built businesses, scaled it, and sold it globally. And we added additional advisors from multiple domains, from industry, finance, legal, as well as the startup sector. We are currently actively penetrating the DACH region with our product, and we are validating the UK as well as the US market for further growth. We are Findustrial. We are an industrial fintech platform, and we are today here to ask for $2 million US of a convertible with partners that are willing to further boost our growth in the next months to come, as we are actively preaching for our Series A in 2023. Thank you very much for your attention.
Great, Thomas, yeah, I want you up
sure.
next. Any questions for Martin and Findustrial?
Yeah, I mean, how long does it take you to sign up your customers? Well, I assume the OEMs. Seems like you have strong financing partners.
It doesn't really take as long to sign them up into the subscription. What does take long is to implement the projects on the market, specifically now because we have supply chain, let's say, crises and problems. But what we've realized, that's not the biggest issue because the OEM needs some time anyway to prepare the new model. So that's why we've implemented this subscription in the last 6 months, and we're really happy with that because we can use the time to properly prepare the project and then roll it out to the market.
Thank you very much. Okay, great. So next up we have Thomas Primus with Foodnotify. Foodnotify helps.
Sorry, just guys.
Oh, okay. That's okay. Foodnotify helps restaurants dramatically improve their profitability and social impact by preventing food waste, which we know is a big issue, and streamlining the whole supply chain. Thomas, take it away.
Thank you very much, Sandy. Yeah, nice to see you here in Runway. You guys may be also looking forward to the food later on, right?
Of course.
Yeah. So what we do is we build the SaaS for the for the restaurant industry. Also sometimes call it RAS, results as a service, and not only software as a service, because we're talking about people which are still using the software. But we have bigger problems, right? So 1/3 of the climate change is caused by the lack of the supply chain in the food service sector. So I wanted to build a company which is making money but helping the world. So in the US, we're talking about 162 billion food waste only here. And these are 16 million tons of food wasted. And restaurants, if you think about the restaurant purchasing process, they purchase it, they prepare it, and they maybe waste it, and 3 times you have the costs. So, also this whole supply chain is an error-prone process. That means you have here different suppliers where you get the different ingredients from, and on an average it's about 7 to 10 suppliers which you have, and we spend around 200 hours of doing the job. Like when you think about the chef who is like working until 12 o'clock in the morning, or in the evening in this case, and then has to order for the next day, they don't like it. So, what is in for the restaurant? And I brought an example to make it a little bit more clearer for you what we can save in terms of money, because this is what's driving restaurants, right? Profitability, and now after COVID, even more important. So 500,000 on the average purchase volume will save you on an annual basis $35,000 per annum, and we're only talking about food wastes. So it's 4 to 10%. I went with the average, and this is also what we learned from companies in Europe where we are already operating. The system clean, nice, and we're not talking about software, we're talking about workflow. So all the other software systems which are out there are legacy systems. So we are giving a nice experience, which is also in terms of staff very important, except especially for the Generation C. The market is huge. I don't want to spend too much on it, but the target is 5% for us. How is the business model? We start with model 1, which is costing $99 a month. And you can see here our actual MRRs, 62,000 in Germany, Austria, Netherlands, Great Britain. And here you can see how the volume went up. Here you can see the COVID close downs, lockdowns. So what is our go-to-market strategy? We are very well known already in the German-speaking countries, and we get a lot of word of mouth. We even have TV chefs as customers. But what is more important is the company is scaling with partners like suppliers. And we have seen that we can have a good relationship and partnership with them, help them and their clients to make more profits along the way, and to help them also to restock in a proper way and not to waste the food. And what I forgot is also the outside pressure. We are already advising the city of Vienna with educating the schools and kindergartens in order to help them also to save food waste. Our US competition is quite nice. So when you think about Uber, Lyft is there as well. We have a very good opportunity here because we are talking about seed. But from our side, we bootstrapped the company a very long time, learned a lot, and I'm very confident that we are much better than our competitors in the market because they don't even have the technology, not the knowledge like we have. And we have a cool team with a lot of superpowers like Ines. She is leading the tech team. And then we have a mastermind, which is also a friend of mine since 25 years, and my wife Christina, and me as my superpower is sales telepathy. So when I get to go to a meeting with a customer, I usually close them. Last thing is the growth path. So how we're using the money? We are looking now at the market, and we, as I said, 5% market share. Break even will be next year, by the mid of next year. And the ask is 5 million because we want to prove ourselves with the pre-series A. And yeah, we used but they're already over time. So I'm happy to receive your questions. Thank you very much for your attention.
Any questions for Thomas? Go ahead, Garima.
So the $99 a month, that's your subscription?
That's the first subscription, the first model, right? Yeah.
What percent of the restaurants expenditure is that? Is it that a very small percent? I expect that's.
Sorry,
Yeah.
again?
So if I'm a restaurant and I have to buy your services,
Yeah.
what percent of my monthly spend is the $99? Is that something very low or is it significant?
We're talking about savings.
Yeah.
I'm not doing a pitch with the pricing.
Yeah.
We're talking about savings, right? So when you remember $35,000 is only deducted because of the food waste. So this is the money you already get. And our costs are like $99 for only the supply chain thing. So it's around 1,200 a year. And the 35,000, so it's a huge saving spot.
Great.
But we are upselling here with different models, $10 to $400 a month. It's even a good deal.
Got it.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to bring up one of our mentors, Cal Deutsch, to introduce our next company. We have several of our mentors here. Cal is going to help us with a couple of the introductions, but just a little bit about Cal so you get a sense of some of the awesome mentors that we have had as part of the program. Cal is founder and CEO of Deal Engine, which is a predictive analytics company for both startups and investors. And Cal is truly an international startup lecturer and coach, and working with entrepreneurs at global incubators and accelerators around the world. So Cal, tell us a little bit about our next company.
Thank you, Sandy. Yeah, it's a distinct pleasure to introduce Lisa and Verhart with Breathe ILO. I always look for companies that are solving big problems with a very big audience. They are focused on women's health using an IoT breathable sensor. So we're literally talking about 50% of the people on the face of the earth at some point in their lives would have the needs for this. They all talk about their product, their go-to-market, but basically by breathing in, you can take in vast amounts of data, such as fertility and contraception information. And I think it's a tremendous tool and a tremendous market. And take it away, Lisa and Vera.
Thank you. So, hello, my name is Lisa, and together with Bernhard, we co-founded Breathe ILO. And several years ago, I had unexplained complaints, and I couldn't bring the performance at sport that I wanted. And I found out that 90% of women are feeling the same. They have negative menstrual cycle symptoms. And this is my sister and my brother-in-law. And all they want to have is a baby after their marriage. But she couldn't get pregnant without any physical limitations. But she's not alone. 48 million couples try to conceive for over than 1 year. And this is our colleague, Antonia. She had really bad, serious mental health problems while being on birth control. And she is also not alone, because 58% of women taking the hormonal birth control pill are having really negative side effects. And for all of them, we have one solution, which is Breathe ILO. So Breathe ILO is a hardware-software combined cycle tracker for women, which is really convenient because the woman only has to breathe 60 seconds into the device. It's really accurate. It's also award-winning and patented, and it's sustainable because Breathe ILO comes without any consumables. The usability of Breathe ILO is really simple, but the technology behind is not. We take a vital parameter of CO2, which is correlating with the hormones of a woman. Then it goes to a self-running algorithm, and the output is the cycle phase, really highly accurate of a woman. But this is not where we stop. You get to know the 4 cycle phases, you get educational content, and you get recommendations daily on your cycle phase and your cycle based on sports, nutrition, and lifestyle. Additionally, you have a cycle calendar, an overview, a comparison, and a report where you can go to the doctor with. And of course, we have a forecast of period and ovulation. In our test market, Germany and Austria, we have already 10,000 happy Breathe ILO users, and 200 of them are so engaged with our brand that they help us to develop Breathe ILO further.
Thank you. And those 10,000 early adopters and enthusiasts helped us develop our next strategy, our digital platform strategy, where we now mature from addressing a niche segment, right, women trying to conceive, to guiding our users along their entire life journey from their early 20s towards menopause and enabling them with a variety of different features that we'll get to in a second. One of the core features that will help us grow next to our US market entry early next year is going to be the contraception feature, right? That was mentioned already. Because we are going to be providing and proving through our FDA certification process that we can not only tell the user when they are fertile and can get pregnant, but also the inverse, right? Help them avoid getting pregnant, help them be a highly convenient and accurate non-hormonal contraception method. That's also exactly how we are different from the rest, right? This combination between unmatched convenience, we just breathe in and out for a couple of seconds, as well as clinical grade accuracy. And combining that really sets us apart from all the other solutions that are out there addressing related needs. We're looking at a market that is huge, right? So we're talking about around 370 million women that are between 20 and 50 years, have a healthy urban lifestyle and sufficient spending power, out of which we will be directly addressing roughly 16 million people in the US, UK, Austria, Germany, Japan. And we're looking at a market share of roughly 11% by the end of 2026. We're monetizing that market segment by our hardware-software combined business model, where device sales plays a role, but continuously we will leverage more and more recurring subscription-based revenue fees that we're currently establishing as part of that digital platform strategy. And this year we're on track to crack the 1 million revenue. How do we do that? We leverage strongly B2C right now, but we're also establishing a lot of very strong B2B2C partnerships, such as pharmacy chains on the top right, reimbursement programs of major insurances that help us reach our target group much more efficiently, as well as, for example, right now we're in the midst of 2 pilots with major consumer health brands that will help us in the go-to-market in the US next year as well. We've received very, very wide media coverage pretty much from every major outlet in our geography so far. Really picked us up and was really excited about it. It's just a great and very well marketed product, you could say, that gives us great confidence for our market launch as well in the US. Who is responsible for that success? On the one hand, of course, Lisa and myself, but there is a larger team. There's 10 people behind that responsible for that. Currently hiring our CTO and an advisory board that has been invaluable, medical engineering experts, femtech experts, as well as fertility experts. Quick summary of that, so to say, over $7 million have been invested in the development of that product. We've validated the market niche that we're now leveraging and leaning into. We're launching our digital platform strategy this year, getting classified as a medical device. And we're raising towards the end of the year our pre-series round of $45 million growth capital for the US market entry and the FDA certification as a contraceptive method.
So for all of us, it worked out pretty well. My sister has the cute first Revival baby, my nephew Felix. And if you also want to support us on our vision to help all women live a healthier, happier life, please reach out to us.
Any questions for Breathe ILO? Go ahead here and then I'll come to you in the back. You first.
Oh, hi.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about the barriers to entry and whether you have any IP protection on the device, or is it really more about, you know, being first to market and building the community?
Yeah. So the device is fully patented, right? So we have patents. Basically, you know, pursued a patent solution strategy. So we have most of the European markets, we have the US market, and we have Japan. Core geography is covered there. And right now, it's really the trickier piece is really, as you said, building out the community and transitioning from so far mainly device production and sales revenue business model into a digital enabled business model and establishing these recurring revenue streams. That's really the tricky nut, so to crack right now.
And then you had a question, sir?
Yeah, I have a question. So I have 2 questions. First of all, have you figured out how the buying process in the US is different than German-speaking countries, Austria and Germany and Europe? And number 2, $2.99 and $7.99 here in the US, people will perceive that your product has no value. It's such a low price point that here people will perceive it has no value.
So is there a question?
Well, yeah, I mean, how are you going to readjust your price so that it is perceived as value added in the marketplace and people just don't think it's something like a toy?
Okay, so first of all, we are in our home market in Germany and Austria. We have the sales 90% via our own online shop. So that means people are buying the pre-val for once or they're renting the pre-val. We also have a renting model there. For the US market, we want to go with a subscription-based model because we have heard here a lot and got a lot of input that this is the normal way here to sell a product, to have it one sale off price, and then we want to have a really low barrier for people using our product because we really want to give them more impact on the daily basis, to use our product to have more lifestyle content in the app and learn more about the body. So it's more about scaling here.
So people here in the US, just to let you know, the US has very high fertility rates, and it's not uncommon for in Silicon Valley for couples to spend $40,000 to $250,000 on IVF treatments trying to get pregnant. So your $7 seems like a cup of a coffee, price of a cup of Starbucks. So it just seems like the pricing point is not really adjusted to the demand and pain point here in the market.
Great, so sounds like a good topic for
Thank you.
more discussion
Thank
and
you.
feedback. I love it. I mean, it's great. Thank you.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
What's the lifetime on the device itself, on the hardware? How long does it last before you would have to replace it, or is it forever?
So we have tried to get as much components of the device for a long-lasting life, but of course we have no long studies with the device by now, but a lot of our users have it for more than 2 years, so we assume it's high quality.
Great. Okay, so I'm going to transition to the next talk. So obviously, lots of discussions to have at the Breathe ILO table, maybe over wine and hors d'oeuvres later. So next up, we're going to have Cal back to introduce our next startup, Matthias Farwick.
Hello again, deja vu. I'm Cal Deutsch again. So I'm introducing Txture. We're in the era now where everything's up in the cloud, but again, Matthias is tackling a very big problem in migrating from one cloud provider to the next, thinking about it from a financial perspective, the business case for doing it, plus the technical issues of just migrating applications and content and so forth, and not disrupting a business. So again, huge problem solver, and I'm very excited to introduce Matthias. Go.
Thanks so much. So yeah, thanks so much, Kel. Thanks for the intro. My name is, as Kel said, Matthias Farwick. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Txture. And we are here to revolutionize how system integrators and cloud providers are moving large IT landscapes to the cloud on a global scale. And first of all, let's look a little bit into our cloud ecosystem. So this kind of ecosystem that we're in is in a transition to a $1 trillion market by 2026. And this market basically consists of two key players. These are the cloud providers like Google, AWS, etc. And those are really in a fight with each other for this market share, and they need to sell as fast as possible to get the market share, and they need to once they have sold their clients to their services, they need to drive the consumption as fast as possible from on-premises to the cloud to actually realize those revenues. And they need to also modernize the IT landscapes of their clients once they are in the cloud. And the second players we have in these ecosystems are the system integrators like Accenture, for example. They are also in a strong competitive market with each other. They need to build compelling offers to compete against the other system integrators as well. And they also need to standardize their offerings on a global scale. They have sometimes 600,000 people who are working on those things, and to realize efficiency in their offerings. And in this cloud transformation journey that organizations have, it typically starts with a cloud business case calculation. And in this kind of business case calculation, the system integrators really have the challenge of analyzing the IT systems of the client in order to understand what potential transformation scenarios are there. And nowadays, typically only working with very little automation, and calculating this return on investment for the client is actually a very difficult task. Once they have sold the client to the cloud, they really need to analyze the IT landscape of the client in order to push the migration forward. And they are really fighting with really complex IT landscape, regulatory requirements, security requirements, of the clients and really strong business demands, and that's a big challenge for the system integrators to move the cloud transformation forward, to speed it up. And once the clients are in the cloud, it's really tough for the system integrators to actually recommend modernization scenarios to upsell new services to the clients. And this is actually where our product Txture comes into play in all of these phases. So in the business case calculation phase, our new module, the business case builder, helps the system integrators and the cloud providers to faster close a deal. Once they have closed the deal, our cloud transformation module helps the cloud providers and system integrators to get faster to consumption by analyzing the system landscape of the client and making automated recommendation and creating transformation roadmaps. And once the clients are in the cloud, our platform really helps to analyze the existing cloud services and to automatically recommend modernization scenarios. And yeah, we've been growing quite a lot in the last 3 years, doubling our revenues to almost 1.3 million in last year. We have 90 clients on 4 continents, and we have certified around 200 consultants worldwide on our product. The business model works like this. In those early phases, we are actually sub-licensing our software to our partners, and they use it in their consulting practice to the end clients. In the recurring revenue phase, in the later modernization stages, we're either co-selling with our partner to the client or reselling, or our partners resell our software to the end client. As I mentioned, we are a partner-based model. Here's a sub-list of our existing partners. We are the global go-to software platform for all of Accenture's global cloud transformation offerings. I just signed, during the time here, a partnership with IBM as well. And to scale our partnerships, we have 2 key concepts. It's first of all, a technical certification program that upskills their consultants easily and also scalable. And we have a sales enablement program that helps our partners resell our software. To further scale, we have negotiations with 2 cloud providers going on and many more system integrators as well. And of course, we're aiming to continuously double or even triple our revenues in the next couple of years, aiming to be at around 20 million of revenue in 2024. So what are our next steps? So in the past, we have closed significant partnerships that we are now scaling. We have received around 2.5 million of funding in the past from Austrian VCs. And right now we are in the middle of expanding our US market presence with hiring partner managers to further build out our relationships with our partners. And we are trying to close the partnerships with cloud providers as well. So I'm basically here to raise awareness of our Series A that we are trying to close in the beginning of next year. And yeah, having that said, looking forward to any questions and also a wine later on.
All right, any questions? Go ahead, Maria.
On your pricing model to your partners, is that purely, was it a monthly? I can't remember now for a...
So in those early assessment phases, it's those contracts are typically between 3 and 12 months, and then this transitions to a recurring model in which our software is used for continuously modernizing and analyzing the application landscape of the client. So we get the foot into the door through our partners with the early assessments. These are shorter term projects, and then these convert into recurring revenue streams with long-term licenses.
Great. Yes, sir.
I have 2 questions relating to the integrators. One, how does it work with the integrator that charges their clients by the hour when you save them time? And then the second part of that question is, if you're working with Accenture globally, I'm trying to understand why the revenues aren't higher.
To the first point, I was afraid of that too when we started this, but the drive for the system integrators to move to the cloud as fast as possible is so huge that anything that helps them optimizing their processes and standardizing their processes to reduce the amount of, let's say, dummy work and help them to create high quality work they're really up for anything that can help them in that space. And to the second point, yes, I think we can raise prices. I think that's
Great feedback.
we will be getting there. I mean, we started out slow, but we are getting to a point where we have better negotiation power with our clients.
Thank you.
All right, excellent job.
Thank you.
So I'm going to ask my friend Paul Thomas to help me introduce our next company. And actually, this company had to pre-record the video. So there are very few reasons why I would be okay with that. But imagine, if you will, that one of your users, if you're a startup, one of your users was a famous television and film director who introduced you to an investor. You'd probably be pretty focused on having that meeting go well. So that's what he's doing right now. But to tell you about this great company that you're about to see, I'm bringing up my friend Paul Thomas to introduce the next company before we see the video. And Paul is a very active startup mentor and educator, fundraising advisor, very experienced intellectual property strategist. And like Cal, Paul also works with startups and teaches and advises all over the world. So Paul, tell us a little bit about our next company.
All right, thank you, Sandy. Kind of stole my thunder, the reason he's not here, but that's a great reason, and I hope he does well. He certainly has the energy and the passion to convince somebody, and he has an A-list referral. So when I first met Mike at the first session here, he had this block with a bunch of buttons on it. He said, "Do you know what this is?" And I said, "It looks like a quiz that I'm not going to be able to pass." And he said, "That's not what it is. It's an interactive device, human-machine interface, as he calls it, and it's linked to a cell phone, and it's a creative tool, it's a meditation tool for musicians or anybody with musical talent in whatever form." And I said, "How about someone like me with exactly zero musical talent?" And he said, "I guarantee this has a use for you in whatever way you figure out to use it." And he said, so I was a little bit puzzled, frankly. And I said, "Who uses this? Where is this finding application?" And the A-list person that Sandy mentioned, who shall remain nameless because I don't know who it is really a validation of what this thing can do. And he's in studios, he's working with a bunch of composers across the musical spectrum, and he certainly has the passion and the drive and the belief, and I think his absence today is somewhat a vindication of that if anybody's going to succeed in making this mysterious block a successful product, it's someone like Mike. So let's see what he has to say on the video, and thank you for your attention.
Hi, I'm Mike, CEO of birdkids. Music has been with us since the dawn of mankind, improving our lives in a powerful way. I founded birdkids to give people access to the instruments that will help them on their musical journeys and enrich their lives through the experience of making music, as both it's the connections they'll be making through music. It comes as no surprise that most of music today is experienced on mobile devices. Since their introduction, smartphones have reduced the entry barriers for multiple creative fields. And it's particularly evident when it comes to music making. Something that once required costly equipment and software can now be done conveniently on the phone. There's an app for everything, from composing to remixing to broadcasting. With roughly 16 billion mobile devices out there today, it's easy to see why this is an unprecedented opportunity for us to use those platforms for music making. But something essential is missing on those devices to be able to really call them musical instruments. Here's the problem. Mobile devices lack the full dimension of human touch we associate with playing an instrument. Tapping and swiping on a glass surface is just not good enough when compared to physical interface with rich tactile feedback. And so we set out to fix that. Introducing Offscript, a pocket-sized input interface that returns the physical feel of a real instrument to mobile music making. It's easy, just pair and play with any device and any app to make beats, DJ, remix, or jam with your friends. This award-winning controller is available in 3 colors at a third of the price of conventional setup. We've introduced Offscript through a very successful Txture campaign that reached its goal in under an hour. We've closed 18-fold of our expectations. We currently have more than 2,000 early adopters with revenue over 235,000 and expect that number to double next year. Offscript is classified under the segment of electronic musical instruments. It turns out that the musical instrument market is quite large and diverse, at 40 billion total, with our segment being 8.1 billion. The fascinating thing about that market is that 63% of it are hobbyists. Offscript appeals both to hobbyists and professionals through its rich sensory interface in intuitive neutral form. But the actual validation came through first sales in December of last year. It instantly caught on with beatmakers in the US. They're using Offscript to make beats and playback samples in the velocity-sensitive format for grid of pads. Some of our clients have been with us since 2016, and we started out in specialty analog instruments for studios. In fact, one of our clients happens to be a very famous Hollywood director who is helping out with introductions to potential investors. We're working closely with our community of early adopters and educators to understand what features are essential to them as we look to empower future generations to be successful in a fast-changing market. This feedback loop provides validation with a measurable effect over time as we progress. One of the most frequent requests we're getting from people is for a standalone version of Offscript to record and perform their ideas. The Gen 2, as we call it, will feature a rich software ecosystem that users can contribute to easily and a premium marketplace for add-ons. Most importantly, it should let users share their content via integrations to most mainstream platforms. Our B2C model offers a very low-cost entry point to a hardware device and full coverage benefits for the duration of the minimum commitment. It also gives B2B partners a financial incentive to sell the Gen 2 Offscript for full retail price with a 30% margin as the device comes with a free year of life in use. Our go-to-market for Gen 2 Offscript sees us addressing 3 horizontal markets: music hardware, music software, and music platforms. We see each new product in those horizontals as opportunities, not competition. We're seeking $2 million in seed funding to propel R&D and facilitate our go-to-market and IP strategy, as well as recruit for growth. We project to break even through sales in 2024 and redeem Series A around the same time to extend and reinforce our segment leadership. Our current team is based in Vienna, Austria. We're a young, ambitious team led by former producer, teacher, and designer, an award-winning architect, and a CTO runner-up Wunderkind software developer. We expect our current sales to double as is. With the introduction of the Gen 2 Offscript, with an extended ecosystem, we project an average of $60 yearly spend per customer, not including the hardware-based cost. Setting the product up for possibilities of network effects growth, we expect 200,000 users by 2025, with an average spend of $100 per user per year, not including hardware-based costs. Let's talk about those opportunities. Thank you for your time.
In the absence of Mike, I'm going to add one thing that he told me, which is that as simple as this thing appears, it's been through, I think, the 4th generation iteration. So he's in schools and he's in studios and wherever else. So he's really put his time in to get the product market fit right. And he's talking just about, that's just to get to Gen 1.
Yeah.
And now Gen 2 is coming. So he's really pushing it hard.
Yeah, cool. Thank you, Paul. And so next up, I'm going to have Maria Pienaar help me to introduce. Yeah.
That's Mike.
What? Oh, eSquirrel, sorry.
That's okay.
Okay.
Not yet, Maria.
Okay, so this is another video from a cool company called eSquirrel in the EdTech space. Let's play that.
eSquirrel works with almost all Austrian textbook publishers and brings the classroom into the 21st century. The 21st century, you might say, is already 21 years old. That's right. But imagine you fell asleep in a classroom 40 years ago. You wake up now and look around. What has changed? Almost nothing. Instead of videotape, students watch YouTube videos and sometimes even read books as PDFs. Can this be everything? A teacher called me just recently and told me, do you know, Dr. Mara, with your learning platform, I started to like teaching again. I've been a demotivated and frustrated teacher for 10 years now. I didn't like it. My students didn't like it. But since I started to use your app, I've been happy to teach again, and I see that on my students' faces as well. How does eSquirrel achieve this? Firstly, we don't wait for any tablet or laptop initiatives. We use the means that are available to schools right now including student smartphones, even older ones, without needing any Wi-Fi, completely available offline. Secondly, because we create fun and entertaining, yet accurate and high-quality courses for every textbook. Students love to learn with our courses. They challenge each other, collect acorns, play through levels, so that they really like it and want to learn on their own. We achieve this by unifying concepts like blended, mobile, and adaptive learning, spaced repetition, and gamification. And thirdly, we make the life easier for teachers as well. Teachers tell us how fast they can give homework with eSquirrel, how much time they save every week by no longer having to correct tests because they can just see their students' results and learning analytics on our platform. So far, we have covered around 200 textbooks from almost all Austrian and also German textbook publishers, starting from the largest ones like ÖBV, Veritas, Lemberger, Hölzl, and so on. And we are a proud member of strong partnerships like the main Austrian and German educational alliances. We cover all subjects from biology over mathematics to German, English, French, Latin, Spanish, you name it, we have it. Our strong partner E1 Telekom Austria helps us to broaden our portfolio in Europe and put out our feelers on the American market. With now 350,000 created exercises, including audios, mathematical formulae, and explainer videos that have now already been answered 22 million times, 100,000 users, and a pool of 90 authors, including the author of Austria's #1 math textbook, we're growing rapidly. Our team creates 20 new courses every month. With the global trend of EdTech that ignited due to the corona pandemic, we started an industry that has just begun to skyrocket. Currently, there are around 400,000 relevant textbooks in Europe, and their digital appearance mostly limits itself to simple PDFs. Every publisher needs to spend at least hundreds of thousands of euros and several years to become digitally competitive, which small and medium publishers cannot afford. So they sometimes end up with very bad and cheap solutions. Instead, they get a validated, affordable, and high-quality solution with eSquirrel right here and right now. Thank you very much.
So Michael is at a conference in London that is one of the conferences every year for his primary customer base. So I'm sure we all wish him well at that conference. So he's doing something really cool. So next up, I'm inviting Maria Pienaar to introduce our last but not least company of the evening. And let me tell you a little bit about Maria. She is a senior innovation consultant here and working with our corporate innovation services team. Maria has deep experience at the C-level in industries like fintech and the telecommunications industry. She also helps international startups particularly prepare to enter the US and prepare to raise funding from US investors. She's a founding partner of Blue Label Ventures, a corporate venture capital group in South Africa. She talks kind of funny, you'll hear in a minute. And she's also an operating partner with Unicorn Growth Capital, which focuses, this is so cool, which focuses on fintech solutions that enable financial inclusion. So again, we have amazing, amazing mentors working with these companies. Maria, tell us about our next company.
Thank you, Sandra. I'm quite honored to introduce Paul today from Valutico. Now, we know valuations, right? It's always a conversation of how big or how short is a piece of string, right? When we're looking at M&As and investing in companies. It sits on spreadsheets, it's quite disparate information, the IP is not capped, it's not standardized, so it's hard to compare with valuations, what we're doing with other companies. It takes a investment banking analyst to be frustrated enough to come up with a solution on how to save time in modeling and being able to step into quite an impressive global opportunity. over to you, Paul.
Thank you so much, Maria. And, hopefully the world needs fewer investment bankers with our solution. There we go, thank you. So, taking the black magic out of valuation. It's a bold statement, I think. Let me explain what we mean. So we aim to streamline the valuation process. Yeah? So how people, calculate the value of a business, right? And that is done. The status quo today is that people do this in spreadsheets, right? It's error prone, it's inefficient, it's slow, it's the human bias is involved. It just sucks, right? I think I can say it because I did it hundreds, maybe thousands of times over my life, right? So we thought there's a better way. What did we do? Well, we moved essentially that process out of the spreadsheet and we moved it into a modern web application. And that has all kinds of benefits, better data, more benchmarks, better quality ultimately of your evaluations, but also massive time saving. We cut down the time it takes from usually days to just hours, and in some cases even just minutes. Now, if you know that valuations are usually expensive, people pay tens of thousands of dollars for this. You see that if people can do so much more, that has a real impact, right? And we often see our clients, financial professionals, seeing positive ROI already during the onboarding phase, right? When they do just 1 or 2 projects. Yeah, and let me also say what we're not, right? We're not a startup valuation tool, right? We all here live in this bubble, so people usually use Valutico to value more mature companies. Oh, and we're a SaaS solution. I think I haven't mentioned that yet. Yeah, these are some of our clients. We serve financial professionals in advisory, in investment management, but also in corporates. And we're very proud to say that, for example, out of the world's 20 largest tax and audit networks, we already work with more than half. Some examples here at the bottom, some others we can't mention because of NDAs, but lots of large companies that use this. Let's talk a bit about the market. We think the valuation software market, the narrowest definition of the market, as you see it in the smallest bubble there, that's already a 2 to 4 billion market globally. So a big market, but we think we can also very quickly move into adjacent markets like M&A software or investment management software. And ultimately, of course, we also think that we can address more of the professional services market in valuations. I know investors don't typically like services, bad margins, bad multiples, but we think with increasing automation and increasing sophistication of our platform, we can capture more and more of that market, but in an efficient way. That's where we are. We launched in early 2018. We've doubled, tripled, quadrupled every year since we launched. Team size, number of customers, revenues. Just in the last 2 years alone, we scaled from 30 to 350 customers. Actually more than 400 as of today. So quite impressive growth, and we're going to do it again this year and in the years to follow. We're already a very global company. We have a team present and around the world, right? Distributed team in more than 15 countries, and we have clients in almost 60 countries. The US share is almost a quarter of our revenue today, and expect this to go up even further because it's our fastest growing market, and it's naturally also half of the global market for what we do. So we think our future is here, and that's why we're here, and that's where we want to raise money. Yeah, for the numbers people here, visualization here also of our growth rate. We just crossed 2 million in ARR. Again, we're at 2.2 now. So just in the last 4 weeks since we've been here, we grew another 10%. And we're doing that with very attractive go-to-market metrics and unit economics, right? 90% gross margin, for example, over 90%. Only a 4 to 6 week sales cycle. So we have our customers profitable and very quickly. A few words about our ecosystem. Don't get distracted by lots of logos here. I want to speak mainly about the direct competitions, what you see here. So these are professional valuation service, valuation tools. Most of the players in the market, actually all of the players are startups. So we're competing against other companies. We rarely pitch against them yet because it's very much a blue ocean scenario, right? It's a land grab. So who we do pitch against is the Excel spreadsheet, right? That's the incumbent. Yeah, and maybe a few words also about the transaction services providers in the top right corner. What's interesting is that they might see us as competition, but they still all buy from us, right? I mentioned we already work with more than half of them paying customers. And also happy to report we already received an acquisition proposal last year from one of the big 4 companies. So I think we're on to something big if they get nervous. Who's the team? That's us. We combine not just a serial entrepreneur experience, but also corporate experience. So we're not just fast and dynamic and nimble, but we also know how to work in a structured way. quick outlook into the future. We think we can grow very quickly, and these are actually conservative forecasts, but we still double every year at scale. Part of it is the core product, the dark blue, but there are also some new product initiatives. Just to mention two, our ESG module, which we're developing now, Balance Echo, and here we're bridging the gap between ESG and valuations. Maybe another example, in the long term, monetizing data, we're also generating a lot of very interesting data on our platform that eventually we can also sell. And that brings me to our last question, our last slide actually. Obviously we have an interesting and deep roadmap, and that costs money. Our ask is, what we're looking for are $10 million, and we want to invest those in further acceleration of our growth, and also an expansion of our total addressable market. Thank you very much.
All right, any questions? Go ahead.
Hi, can you talk a little bit about your pricing strategy and whether there are any established players in the market, maybe in adjacent spaces like CapIQ, to whom you're looking for, as an example of a pricing model?
CapIQ, so we actually buy data from CapIQ. We're a customer there. We aggregate many more databases like CapIQ.
Interesting, because that's my other question.
Yeah.
I used to be a banker, and I would love to have your solution back then. It would have saved me a lot of sleepless nights. But the other question is, would someone like CapIQ develop a solution, and sort of potentially displace you?
Yeah, so we take them serious. That's why we also had them on the slide, right? Typically, they play more in the database layer. They're good at building databases, not so good on the application layer. And typically, they acquire, right, if there's something interesting there. So we see them more as an exit partner, but we can't rule it out. Eventually, maybe they will build something.
And the pricing?
Pricing is a great question. Maybe just to say it immediately, we're probably too cheap for the US market. We sell the average contract value is $6,500 now. We started with $2,500 3 years ago, so we already doubled, tripled that per year. So we think if we can position this even more as an alternative to an analyst, you can charge 10 times that, right? So yes, we definitely should raise prices. Our biggest project at the moment is pricing.
And do you charge per customer, like a flat fee, or by per use or per account?
Yeah, so we used to charge per account. We just switched to a per seat model. We're also looking into usage-based pricing, which is quite interesting, combined with product-led growth, but it's a per seat pricing model. Thank you.
All right, very good. Audience, can you give a round of applause to all of these? As Manny comes up, one of the things I just want to give you a little color on is, I am so impressed by what these teams did over the last 6 weeks, just 6 weeks, and they also were dealing with, some of them went back home to Austria for a week or two. Their teams are getting COVID or getting exposed or whatever, and there's a lot of stuff that they were dealing with, not to mention time zones and lots of crazy stuff going on. So I think their accomplishments and how much progress they made over time is even more remarkable than I think we could probably all appreciate, who've been here just comfortably working, right? So kudos to them. I'm going to hand things back to Manny, who was the program lead for this whole thing. So Manny, help us close it out. Thank you.
All right, thank you guys all so much. Wonderful pitches, and I'm really proud of you all for all the progress you guys have made and the community we've built. So right now, we're just going to take this opportunity to network and just get to know each other, the investors and people here in the room. But I wanted to just kind of point out the cuisine that we have tonight, and have a little story for you guys. So from the days of the gold rush onward, the tempting smell of roasting pork and the bittersweet perfume of candied melon rind have filled the air along Grant Avenue. Asian cuisine's imprint on San Francisco food culture is undeniable. It all started with the Chinese. Due to the industries like gold and the railroad, San Francisco attracted Chinese immigrants. The first Chinatown established in the United States in San Francisco dates back to 1848. Since those early days in San Francisco has been the forefront trends in Asian cuisine. The Central Valley of California is one of the world's most productive agricultural regions. The proximity of San Francisco to the bounty is reflected in the menus all over the Bay Area. The menu, Chef Dino and Chef Udari have created reflects this, the strong Asian influence on our San Francisco cuisine, with the freshest farm-to-table produce available anywhere. The Bay Area is blessed to have such a rare blend of foods and cultures, and we are excited to present this delicious bit of San Francisco to you guys all, and enjoy. So thank you, Sheila and team, for providing the food. There is a food station right here, right along the demo tables. There is a wine and drinks bar right here, and there's also more food in the dining room along with wine and drinks.
One more quick announcement, please indulge me for this. We do have several of the mentors, people who have given their time, their expertise, their knowledge coming in here to speak and coach and work with these great companies. For all of those of you who have mentored during this program and taught, please stand up.